name is John Atkinson.
Can you talk about your life and family before the war?
I had a wife and a young daughter of 3 years old when I went to Vietnam.
Can you describe the process of going into the war?
We flew out of Travis Air Force Base in California to Guam to Da Nang, Vietnam.
Can you discuss what it's like, what the feeling of actually leaving your family and going? What's it like to have to leave?
There was a lot of apprehension and worry of what would happen while we were gone.
Talk about the war and the jobs you had while you were in it.
I was assigned to Naval Support Activity Da Nang, assigned to a LCM-8 boat, 70 foot long, 26 foot wide. We hauled stores and supplies to different parts of Vietnam. Sometimes we may be carrying fuel bladders up to a tank farm. Sometimes we may have a whole boatload of ice cream. It varied.
How everything was during it?
There was a lot of chaos. We lived on this boat. We had nowhere else to live. We had to steal our sea rations to eat. We cooked on that boat. We slept on it. It was open to the weather. There was no bathroom on the boat, no shower. We would have to, a merchant ship would come in and they would allow us to come aboard and take a shower. They would give us a good and hot meal, and then we had to leave again.
Talk about when you were coming home and how your family reacted to you coming home?
It was a long trip home. We flew from Da Nang to Yokota, Japan, to Alaska, to Los Angeles. It was a whole plane load of sailors and Marines and soldiers that were happy-go-lucky, drunk, just glad to be home until we got to the airports.
Okay. Do you have any advice for students?
As far as the military, my personal opinion is that when a student graduates from high school, if they're not going straight into college, they ought to go into the military for at least 2 years. That way they grow up in that 2 years, they have a good idea of what they want to do after that 2 years, whether it's to continue their education or to stay in the service.
What did you do job-wise after the war?
I was in demolition, construction.
What was the reaction with your family when you came home?
Well, my family was glad to see me. I had a lot of nightmares and stuff when I first got back that created problems between my wife and myself. I was a heavy drinker, which didn't help any at the time.
Do you have any grandchildren today?
I have 11 grandchildren and 7 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
Do you have any specific memorable moments when you were in the war?
Well, when we landed in Da Nang, they came across the speaker on the airplane and said, when you get out of the aircraft, run for that building and duck low, we're under fire. They had snipers in the trees along the runways, shooting at the planes as they would land and take off.
Did you have any injuries while you were in there?
I broke my back.
Do you have anything specific you'd like to talk about? Is there anything that jumps at you that you'd like to discuss?
No, not really. It's, war is not a very nice place.
Right.
I was not involved in a lot of fighting and shooting like other individuals were. I sort of had a peaceful tour of duty. Others had it a lot worse.
Did you choose to do that, or did
That was the assignment the Navy gave me. I was there a second time on a ship for a year. I was in country for 1 year, and then I was there at the end of the war for another tour.
Were you glad you did it?
Yes, I am. I'm very glad I did it.
Would you do it again?
I would do it again in a heartbeat.
where did you live at the time before you left?
I was stationed at Cherry Point, North Carolina, the Marine base. I was assigned to crash crew.
And how did you become involved with the Navy?
In 1964, how I became involved with the Navy, I joined the Navy in 1958.
What brought you to Florida?
My wife. I was divorced and remarried an old high school sweetheart. And she lived here in Florida, lived here in Stewart.
How would you say your life has been after the war?
There was high points and low points both. I was addicted to alcohol, which created problems in my marriages. I spent some time in a psychiatric ward for PTSD.
From the stuff that you've seen?
Yeah.
So
And-
how did you overcome like all of your nightmares and your drinking problems and stuff?
The drinking problems, I just woke up one morning and said, I've had enough. And I haven't had a drink in 20 years.
Good.
As far as the head problems, it was a series of meeting psychiatrists and other vets talking things out.
But of course you can never forget stuff like that.
Right.